Yeah. So, hi, Yusufa.
Hey man.
Great that you joined. This is the GoPrimal Experience channel. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and then I introduce
Fantastic.
again myself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Adrian. My name is Yusufa. I currently live in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's always difficult to introduce myself. I guess I would say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm always building some kind of business or another, some kind of project or another. Very quickly, I've started various companies in the past, including one in Copenhagen called AthGene, which we can talk about in a second. That was in the fitness industry. And then more recently, I've now been working on something that I've called IPO Capital, which we can also talk a bit about in a second, which is more on the investment side. But really, when you boil it down, I'm just a sales guy at the end of the day. Um, that's what I've always been. And I guess what I'm always trying to figure out as an entrepreneur is how to maximize the skill of selling and to put a product around it or a service around it or a business around it. But really, I'm just a sales guy. So I always need partners and team members and things like that. So that's just a very quick introduction.
Yeah, cool. I think we have a lot of common in that way. I consider myself a salesperson, and then we try to find the coolest thing to sell, the best thing to sell, and also that matches a little bit our interest and lifestyle. I'm the founder of GoPrimal. My interest is fitness, health, and lifestyle. So I decided a few years ago to create that brand and sell products or sell the more than products, the lifestyle to people. So the health and fitness lifestyle. We met at AthGene, which I think it was
Yeah.
a pretty cool project. I don't think I know 100% how you guys created or founded AthGene. I know a little bit, but if you don't mind explaining a little bit
Absolutely.
how it was.
Absolutely. So I love that you've got on the sweater, by the way. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
always.
So very quickly, it's AthGene and short for athletic genetics. And as the name suggests, we were an athletic company that used genetics technology or DNA technology. And the way it all came together was at the time I was in between projects. Some people are in between jobs, entrepreneurs are in between projects. And I went to a conference and I met a Pakistani scientist. And he stood up and, everyone stands up and you give a 5-minute presentation and you just talk a bit about an idea. And everyone was talking about, whatever, normal ideas, an app or whatever, or blah, blah. And this guy said, I want to start a company in the DNA industry. And I said, DNA? Is this guy insane? Do you have like $10 million, And I found out that, okay, so 20 years ago, for the first time ever, a full human genome was sequenced. And that's just technical term for the first time, they actually mapped out the DNA of a full person. So if you go back 30 years ago, from the history of time to about 20 years ago, this had never been done before. So we never really knew what the actual DNA is made of and the genetic code of humans. And finally, 20 years ago, they cracked the code. It cost $4 billion. But this technology was growing so exponentially that what used to cost $4 billion dropped all the way down to when I met this person in 2014, it cost about $1,000 to have your DNA, tested. And so he
Every
said
test.
what was
So
happening.
every time you do a swap.
Every time you do a swab, it was around $1,000 if you want to do the full genome and see all of the data. And the best analogy to give you is a bit like the internet. So obviously the internet in the 90s is when it really started becoming consumer focused, right? And it was infrastructure. And then people started building services on top of the internet, right? So, Amazon, all of these names were services on the internet. And it's the same thing. So genetics is a technology, or at least it's genetic technology. And on top of that, companies started building services. So we built a fitness service. And more specifically, what we did was we allowed people to take a DNA test with just putting something in their mouth, a bit like these corona tests. And we send it to a lab. And I can tell you a bit more in detail in a second. So we send it to a lab. And within a few weeks, you log on our website with your username and password, and you can see the results in a user-friendly way that is also focused on fitness. So it will tell you, for example, how sensitive you are to carbohydrates versus some other people with different type of genetic profile, how sensitive you are to salts, whether you have the type of genetics that is more prone to build muscle quicker than someone else, whether you have fast twitch muscle fibers mainly versus slow twitch muscle fibers, and a lot of other categories of information. This was about 3 years ago, so I'm not that fresh on it, but no. It was a book on yourself and how to train. So what we were then trying to figure out over the 3 years we built AthGene was, how can we take this data and make it useful? And this was a challenge, because if you just say to someone, you have high sensitivity to salt. Okay, what does that actually mean? You know, thank you. What can I use this for? So some of the first feedback we had was like, this is like a horoscopes. I can't use it for anything. I'm a serious guy. I do CrossFit. I'm in the gym, 25 hours a week. And okay, you tell me I'm sensitive to salt, is that really it for 200 euro? So we kept trying to find out how can we make it useful and give even more information. And this was the journey of AthGene. Mm-hmm. And of course, you were one of our partners. You were part of the team. You and I were working on the business development together, hand in hand. And so that's how you and I met about maybe 4 years ago, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it was a cool project. It's I think 23andMe are still, the leader in the market about the from DNA analysis. I haven't really seen many other companies popping up. I don't know if it's because 23andMe is just taking pretty much everything. I think there is a huge, I wouldn't say economies of scale, but there is a huge, entry barrier to make your name into an industry where 23andMe is so big, and it's still a medical industry. So, not everybody in their garage or in their living room can make a company and sell DNA tests and whatever.
You're exactly right. And there's a lot easier. So in this sector, what you're seeing a lot of is sort of medical focused companies that are doing hardcore science. We were not doing science, if I'm honest. We were borrowing scientific methods and trying to make it fun.
Yeah, and provide a service.
Provide a service. But the hardcore science guys, they're using the technology to cure cancer, to try and help people with Alzheimer's. And I think a lot of the genetics things is 90% still hardcore medical. And as you're saying, there's not a lot of on the consumer side, but it's coming.
Yeah, I think so. Cool. And that project ended a few years ago, right? I think you guys sold the company, or?
Yes, it was a success and a failure at the same time. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean. And I haven't really talked about this, before publicly, so we can call this an exclusive. We sold the intellectual property, but not for a lot of money. To put it in context, over 3 years, we raised roughly 1 million euro from a small venture capital company, or a small amount, sorry, from a venture capital company and other angel investors. So we raised 1 million euro and we sold the IP, I'll just say, for way less than 1 million euro. So basically no one made any money. It was in that way, it was a commercial disaster. But whilst it didn't make any money for investors or for shareholders, so it was a failure. On the other hand, it was a huge success because we were so early that we were defining what was possible. And what that meant was we were players in the industry, and our competitors were one was in London, one was in Canada, and a few in America. But we were really kind of alone. And so it was a success in that we got to kind of define the industry and try to say, what is this going to look like, and set a lot of waves in motion. And we launched the world's first subscription-based genetics product. So there was a lot of things that were a huge success. Of course, we had a lot of PR and media, but at the end of the day, we raised 1 million euros and we sold the IP for way less than 1 million euros because we never figured out the commercial viability of, how do we sell it at a price where we make a gross profit, from the gross profit, pay all the salaries, from the bottom line, make a profit and keep the lights on. So the minute the investors stopped giving us money, we had to basically throw in the towel.
Yeah, true. Well, it was a difficult market. difficult product at the end. It was like 200-300 euros per test,
Yes,
something like that. So
yes, 200-300 euros.
it's nothing cheap. So
Exactly.
people need to be really sure what they are paying. And again, 23andMe, if you need to choose between somebody that is completely new, 23andMe, that you can have, see million of people that they have done the test. They have so many options. My wife actually did the AthGene, but also the 23andMe.
Oh, wow.
She did the 23andMe, the complete one, the one she got like, well, actually 23andMe, they have now, maybe you don't know, but it's called Found My Fitness, which is a pretty popular nutritionist that actually works quite closely with Joe Rogan. I don't know if you probably heard about Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure you knew Joe Rogan. So she's Rhonda Patrick. She's many times in his podcast. So she has an agreement with 23andMe that when you get the 23andMe report, you can upload that report into her database, and then you will get an analysis of every single, parameter that you have got from 23andMe, which is already quite complete, but it's just, I don't know, half a page or something like that. You get like 3-4 pages per parameter. So you ended up with like 80-90 pages in total with, I was trying to read whatever my wife got, and after the second page, it was just like I forgot everything. I can understand half of the words that they are using, but it's evolving quite a lot. And when there is a big player, it's really difficult to be here and try to fight against this big one.
I think the problem the industry has is, if I'm honest, it's missing someone like you, plus a hardcore scientist person, plus a hardcore user experience person. Like the killer team hasn't yet come together, because what is missing is the usability. Because at the end of the day, it's an information product, right? So let's talk about that. You work out all the time, right? More than I do. We probably have similar amounts of information, right? So we know, don't eat too much, eat a bit less carbs, obviously eat vegetables, make sure you get your proteins, work out. We all have information, but your results are different than mine. So information alone is not the missing link. The missing link is actionability. How do you take information and gamify it, make it actionable, easy, simple, and make it fun so that people can get results? And those universes have not yet met.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you have the online coaching telling you, or nutritionist or coaching, you wanna lift more weights, so you need to do these exercises, you need to eat this type of food because you want to reach those goals. But these people haven't really looked into the DNA test and getting this information and saying, well, maybe you don't need to eat that much of this, but eat more of that. And these exercises are not going to be as good for you because your DNA is saying that these are the exercises that work better. So that's actually true. You get something like Rhonda Patrick report, but it's such a technical report that is, you as a user, it's really difficult to use that information.
It's also a tough industry. The fitness industry is tough because it's up to the user, right? I mean, you can have the best gym in the world. I remember you and I, going off topic, we went to Singapore, remember? And we went to a super fancy gym.
Yeah, it was
sky
fancy.
Of Singapore on the roof, man.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
I was like, man, this place is sick. And you said, no one in this place is going to get results. And I was like, what? How can you say that? But it was true, right? Because, if you're there for the lemonade and the pina colada and the skyline and the steaks, you just need a dumbbell and some motivation, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And then right after AthGene, you jumped into IPO Capital, or did you do something else? I think you jumped into IPO Capital, right?
I jumped right in. Actually, within 2 weeks of selling the intellectual property, I had registered IPO Capital. And I can give you the backstory of that. So, as I mentioned, I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark. And in 2017, something was happening here. And that is, most countries, they have a main stock exchange, for example, the NASDAQ, where obviously real companies will go get listed, you know, billion-dollar companies. But a lot of countries, especially in Europe, they have a alternative stock exchange, a micro exchange, where companies you've never heard of list. And these are companies valued at, let's say, between 5 and 50 million euros. So much smaller companies. And what happened was in Denmark, we have NASDAQ as the main exchange, and then OMX, NASDAQ OMX, and we have NASDAQ First North for the small companies. And this NASDAQ First North was closed basically for like 10 years. There were no new companies listing. Yeah, okay. Because technically you could list, but the investors thought this place is dead, no good companies, so there was no money. So it didn't really work. And then in 2016, I think November or December, a Danish company called Green Mobility, which was an electrified company, went public on First North at a 40 million euro valuation and raised like 10 million euro. And everyone said, whoa, okay, this is a startup, huh? A brand new company. I think it was 6 months old. And then very quickly, another company went public. And so in 2017, there was momentum and companies started going public. Okay. And actually at AthGene, we also considered maybe could this make sense for us as a way to raise money? So I was exposed to that world, and I then said, okay, maybe we can be part of this. And so I pitched one of my very good friends, who is now my partner. He was an investor in AthGene. He's a high net worth person, self-made. And I said, let's start an investment company together where we invest in companies before they IPO. These startups, we go in 6 to 12 months before they IPO. We put in a bit of money, €250,000, €500,000, take some shares, and then when they go public, we can sell the shares, make some money. And you know, everything sounds so easy on a spreadsheet. Go ahead.
Yeah, but those startups, were they planning to go public, or you were helping them or taking them to go public into the IPO?
Yeah. The original idea for IPO Capital was that I would approach strong startups who could go public on this market, who could get a valuation of say 5 to 25 million euro. And we would convince them that the next time you raise money should not be from a venture capital company. It should be from the stock market. And we will finance that journey. We will take some shares between 10 and 30%. And we will help you through advice that you can become a public company. And of course, there's pros and cons of being public. Later, we can talk about that if you want. But that was the idea. Now, reality is, of course, you find out reality when you initiate the idea. Reality is, it's very difficult to go public, even when you're a tiny company. It takes a lot of time. You need the perfect product. You need the perfect executive team led by a CEO who wants to be public, because it's a change of profile. You're now a target, huh? You need to have a company that has a growth story. You need the valuation. It's very difficult. So we invested in one company. We started the IPO Capital in November, October of 2017. And by April, we invested in one company, which we're still a shareholder now, a Danish technology company. And we've been working with this company basically for 2.5 years, trying to get them ready to go public. So like the first company that we invested in, we're still working out the difficulty that it just takes to be ready. So it's not easy. Yeah. So I found out very quickly, within 1 year, okay, this is not going to work. If we put money in a company and we have to wait 2-3 years before they're ready to go public, and then now we've worked on it for 3 years, so we're an insider, meaning they're going to try and lock us up on the shares, so we can't sell the shares. Mm-hmm. It's a 3, 4, 5 year journey. So I changed my tactics and I said, okay, why don't we behave more like private equity? If we're going to be a shareholder for 3, 4, 5 years, then actually, why don't we take control of the companies we're investing in? So I changed a bit from like a pre-IPO investment company, and we pivoted to behave more like a micro private equity company. So that's what we do today. So today what we do is we're looking for mature companies at scale, generating revenue, making profit, probably run by very mature individuals, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who want to retire or they've run the business for 20 years. We'll go in, we'll buy the business, 100% of the shares, doing something called a leverage buyout, where we put some equity, some money, and I attract some debt into a special purpose vehicle, and we buy the business. My wife gave a very good analogy. She said it's a lot like buying a house. you put 5 or 10% down, you borrow the rest from a bank, you own the house. It's exactly what we're doing. We're putting 25, 30% down. We're borrowing 65, 70% from the bank and also seller deferred payments. We buy the business. But the difference is we're targeting profitable businesses, means they can service the debt themselves and hopefully pay us as well management fees. And in 3, 4, 5 years, the company are debt free, and then we can all participate through dividends. And we have managers running the actual operation so that we can continue to focus on, finding targets, doing transactions.
Yeah.
And
but do you put people on each company? So I guess
yes.
You remove the
Each
CEO,
company,
right? The CEO retires, and then you put somebody there.
Correct. Typically, the profile of the companies we're going after, typically they have, as you say, a owner-operator, so a CEO who owns the business. They want to retire, or they're sick and tired, they're fed up, 18 years, 20 years. Let me give you the specifics. We've done different things. We also did a few side investments, but on this business model, September 2019, we bought 75% of a UK steel manufacturing company. It's 18 years old, does about £3 million in revenue, and it's quite profitable, actually, very profitable for the size of the business. The CEO was the owner, him and his wife. He ran it for 18 years. He's like, I've done everything I have to do here. And so what he was looking for, that's a long time. So he's looking for succession. Who will now take over this? Who will now manage it? So we bought 75%. We kept him as CEO for 12 months. We hired a chief commercial officer to basically inherit his job. And now the transition is complete. So now he no longer works there. We have a managing director. We have a commercial director. They run the business. It has like 50 employees, and that's that business. And what we then did is we bought another steel manufacturing company, also in the UK, but geographically further away. And we bought 2 actually on top. And now we have a group of 3 combined. They're doing about 15, 16 million pounds in revenue. So that's about 20 million euro. And they're doing about 2 million euro pre-tax profit combined. Mm-hmm. And they have about 200 employees. And 3 companies, each one has a managing director that runs the operations. And on top of all of this operations being run by an MD, I also hired a CEO, a group CEO, to manage the 3.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a Danish guy who lives in Switzerland, and he's 53. So we have managing directors running the business. We have a group CEO managing the managing directors. So basically, we are not involved at all. And in that way, we are part of the change of ownership. We are providing the businesses with resources, financial resources, human resources. We're giving it support, but these companies don't need us. So unlike AthGene, where if I don't come to work, and if 2 or 3 people, if me, you, Adrian, Sebastian didn't come to work, there's no business. So we have to be there. So this is different.
Yeah. Okay. And are you personally involved in any operation of any of these companies, or you are in the board of executive, like a major board that is,
So yes. So what we've done is I've taken for now the title of chairman. It's a placeholder title. I'm just a sales guy, let's not forget this. So I'm always selling something, So what I'm selling to the banks that loaned us some money is, this is a safe place to put your capital. The companies we bought, the youngest one is 18 years old. The second youngest one is almost 100 years old. And the oldest one is 150 years old. So I'm selling to the banks, look, your debt is here for 4 years. Do you think it will collapse in 4 years? Probably not. This has been through the plague, World War I, World War II. Loan us some money.
The new pandemic as well.
The new pandemic, we can now also add this one to the hat in 3 years. It's been through everything. And so I'm selling that to the banks. To my partners and investors, what I'm selling them is steady cash flow returns. Do you want to keep your money in the bank where you're paying negative interest rates? Or do you want to invest your money here where the return on equity is very high? because we are having sensible valuations on these businesses. It's a good return on investment for investors. And I'm selling to the owners that are selling me the business. What do you want to do with your life? I mean, you've been running these companies for 30 years. The other one, you've been running it for 18 years. Do you want to spend time with your kids? What do you want? And I'm basically selling them retirement or whatever it is that they need.
Yeah.
So let's not forget, I'm just a sales guy, but I think sales guys will benefit from realizing that they are just sales guys, because actually then you become very effective, because then you say, there's nothing wrong with sales. Sales is solving someone's problem, and you can only solve the problem if you understand the problem. You can only understand the problem if you listen and ask questions. So who do I need to listen to, ask questions to? How can I hear them out and solve their genuine problems, the actual problem, maybe not the one they say they have. And when I solve that problem that benefits them, how can I inject myself so that I get some benefits as well? That's it. That's sales. So that's what I do. But yes, my title says chairman of these companies. Yeah.
True. I always thought that a good salesman, because you get all type of salesman, but a good salesman is a little bit of a psychologist that tries to analyze the other person instead of impose what I think or what you need. I maybe want to sell you my amazing Google Pixel phone, whatever, to you, but then I found out that what you like is Mac and iPhone. So maybe I need to pivot my message, understand what you want, and give you the what you will find more valuable than just what I have here, and I want to push it. So yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think that you empower yourself as a sales guy when you realize that you don't have to work with everyone, right? So if I'm talking to an investor or a bank and this is too high risk for them, then that's perfectly fine. I'm happy they told me. I'm happy I asked the right questions that they can answer me, because that means that I don't want to waste their time. This is not for them, right? So the beginner sales guys, they're like, I have to sell this. I have to, if I don't sell this, I'm gonna get fired. And I think when you let go a little bit, can you remember, Adrian? We were in a meeting room with in Singapore, and I'll just remind you, but it was some of the biggest private equity companies in the world. It was Oaktree Capital Management, which is literally top 5. And they owned this company that we were visiting, which is the largest gym chain in Southeast Asia.
The fitness,
and we were sitting there,
right?
Fitness First Asia, and I think it's Fitness First Asia and Celebrity Fitness, which is the largest group in Southeast Asia. And we were sitting in this meeting with the CEOs, the board members, and the owners, which were from Oaktree. And do you remember, you were the authority in that meeting? I don't know if you remember, because of course we were talking about fitness, and they just wanted to know how does this even work, and what is that, what is the value. So I think not going there saying we're going to leave with a deal, we're going to leave with this, just going there knowing what you know, hearing them out and saying, is this for you, does this make sense, letting them ask you questions as well, and if it makes sense, and only if it makes sense, then try to present a case of why this makes sense. And I think that was such good sales that it wasn't sales. It was just a meeting amongst, people trying to see how they could do business together, right?
Yeah. It's an interesting. I'm not really aware, how this investment world works too much. I've been part of a small project here in Spain on. I don't know if it's a venture builder. I think they were called venture builders, where they were investing in small startups, creating startups from scratch, or investing in early age startups. It was in Spain, here in Barcelona. I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest, of the way that they were working, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, kind of jumping from where you are now to a few years before, when you were involved in the Scandinavian startup market or field. I had a glimpse of what it is working with the startups. I think I spent, 6 months, 8 months with you guys, and I got to see some startups in Scandinavia. I'm still following some of them, or the startup scene of Scandinavia. I'm just curious how how there is so many successful startups coming from Scandinavia compared with other countries, not only Spain but the entire Europe. I think Scandinavian has something with the startups that make them so successful.
Yeah, I think there's a few things going on here. So I'll start by just saying, of course, as you know, it's not Silicon Valley, it's not Tel Aviv, it's none of these hyper centers, but there's something happening here in Scandinavia. And I think let's look at the ecosystem. So first of all, there's a lot of government money. So these are wealthy societies where there's enough excess cash by the government and an appetite to support entrepreneurship, where they're setting up things. So in Denmark, for example, we have something called Vækstfonden, which literally means the growth fund. And they, don't quote me, but they have like 2-3 billion euros under management. And it's literally just to support startups and growth companies in Denmark. That's it. Either through debt and loans or through equity injections. Sometimes they even invest in other funds. So to funds of funds where they then go and invest in startups. So they have billions of euros that the government gave them to just help develop startups. And actually, they're doing very well. It's not a charity. If you look at their numbers, the valuation of their portfolio is worth way more than the injected capital. So actually, it makes sense. So there's money. Another thing is you have a very, very highly educated society, where in Scandinavia, I have a bachelor's degree. I don't have a master's. I never finished a master's. I might do an MBA at some point, but you need a master's in Scandinavia to be considered educated. Having a bachelor's, you might as well not have a degree, is the general sentiment here, right? So I have just a bachelor's, that's the feeling. So free education, highly educated people with a lot of master's degree. That's very high in STEM, right? So science, technology, engineering, math. My wife, for example, she's a statistician, which is basically a mathematician, and she works at a Novo, which is a healthcare company.
Oh, is she working at Novo?
You have a she works at Novo, exactly, right? Yeah. So you have a high concentration of well-educated, STEM-based people with cash by the government support. Now, what it didn't have, let's say 10, 15 years ago, and slowly this is changing, is general population support. I think 15 years ago, I've only been here 8 years, but I've been told 15 years ago, if you say to your family, I have a startup, they go, okay, so you don't have a job,
Okay, so unemployed, right?
This feeling. Unemployed, exactly, so that's bad. Slowly that's getting better now through good news coming through. They say, oh, this guy, he's only 19, he built this app, it did this. People go, oh, that's cool. And over the years, people are learning that, oh, actually, this is a productive way of building a career. There's one thing also that's a problem here. The Danish word is gender law. And it basically means, like, just to put it short, jealousy, if I'm honest. There is a feeling that, if Adrian builds a successful fitness company, GoPrimal, when it's just starting out and it's not really a threat, we'll support him. But the minute it becomes a bit successful, he's now expanding, he's entering new markets, Australia, then there's a feeling of, why are you so special, Adrian? Just remember, you're not that special. Australia has this problem as well. They call it the high poppy seed, where they cut the tall poppy seeds in the field. But all of this is changing. And I think the last element is success stories. So if you look at Scandinavia, you have Spotify, you have the new ones like Klarna, which is the fintech company. Obviously, you have the old school ones like Skype. You have a few success stories. And so that means two things. One, people are saying, oh, we can do it. I mean, Spotify is from Sweden. Wow. So there's a confidence coming. Another thing is, these people now are millionaires and billionaires. So you have an ecosystem. I mean, some guy, Jeff Bezos, or some rich guy in Silicon Valley doesn't really care about the small cities in Denmark, like Aarhus, or the small cities in Sweden. But if you're a Swedish, billionaire from technology, like Janos Friis, maybe you care, right? Maybe you want to put some money in these ecosystems, go and present to these universities and give people a chance to touch the giraffe, here he is, the successful one. So I think there's momentum. That's the punchline.
Yeah.
And of course, there's more momentum than maybe some other ecosystems. I'm not sure if Spain or whatever, but there's momentum here. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Also because the job life balance in Scandinavia is so well done that working in a company, you pretty much have everything. You have really good system procedures. Payment is good. You're never gonna be a billionaire because of taxes, but you have everything that you need, from education to your kids, taking care of your kids in public schools. Even the food is pretty much free, but not free. But you don't need to worry about the food during job hours. So it is way more risky to have a startup than just join Novo Nordisk or any other big company in Scandinavia. So I'm always curious why is making young people wanting to go into the startup industry and yet being successful doing it, when they have some other options that are so easy and accessible for pretty much everybody.
So I think there's different things going on here. There are different motivations as well. I think economic motivations are not first on the list. It's there, but it's number 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have a community. Let's say like in Texas, the oil boom. That was number 1 economic motivations. I'm here digging oil for money.
Yeah.
I think this is different. I think there's a lot of status in trying something really difficult. Pride, man. I mean, you're trying something that's crazy. You look at the numbers. The numbers say you're gonna fail, and you're still trying. Wow. Okay, this is interesting. Who is this person? And of course, it kind of helps, if you know what I mean, being in a field where you're probably gonna fail anyway, because that means any measure of success you have is a victory. Like you look at AthGene. We wanted to sell for 1 billion Danish kroner, which is like 150 million euro. That was the goal. We didn't even sell for €1 million, right? But there was some victories in that journey, because, okay, we started a genetics company with 0 money, 0 lab, 3 people. And so you know what I mean? So when you're going to fail anyway, kamikaze missions, any victory you have is a success. And I think that there's a bit of that. People are seeking a bit of that, right?
Yeah. It is interesting. I kind of missed my part or the part that I was in Denmark. As you say before, they say pretty high educated people. I remember meeting everybody that I met were engineer, mathematics, space, whatever they were doing with
rocket
space.
Scientists.
Rocket science, exactly. And I hardly remember anybody that didn't have high educated bachelor, MBA, or whatever it is. So that kind of adds in your background, and you learn from these people, working from them for them together with them. You always learn a lot of things. So I'm always happy.
It's a very interesting society. Sorry, it's an interesting society because they also are very much into fitness as well.
True.
So
and healthy living in
a way,
general.
you have healthy living. You have a society of people who are very well educated, who are really into fitness and lifestyle. At least they don't have the obesity numbers of the United States. There's a lot going right here, right? Of course, there's the other things that we can talk about not going right. It's very difficult to make friends here. You and I connected because you're from Spain, I'm from Africa. I think we're from societies where we want to hang out, we want to spend time together, and I don't think that that's normal. Here, people, they have few friends, they make them very early, and they stick with them forever. So if a Danish person becomes your friend, they're your friend for life. I have a few Danish friends. These are my friends. I can tell for life. It's real. Whereas I'm from a culture where it's not real. So we can be so friends. We can end this podcast, say nice things about each other, and then we hang up and go, that guy is an a-hole or a d-bag. This is the society I'm from. And I think they're not like that, So very interesting culture.
Yeah, true. Cool. And you're not planning to leave Denmark, right?
Well, this is it's such a funny question because after that great sales pitch for move to Denmark, the truth is I'll probably not be here for a very long time. I mean, we're here for the next few years at least, 1, 2, 3 years. The things that I'm doing now, benefit a lot from, being here, having very quick access to London, for example, things like that. But in the long run, I would like to try something different. Something sunny like Barcelona, but you guys have, I don't know what your tax situation is like, but I guess it's not low taxes. So sunny.
It's not a high tax
taxes.
like Denmark for sure.
Oh.
It's not a high tax like Denmark. Yeah.
Here you pay for that free education,
Yeah.
At the top of the line is like 64%, right? So sunny, low taxes. I want a place with a lot of immigrants or expats, a lot of things going on, people that I can learn from, new cultures, languages, foods. So in that realm, I've actually, I like Dubai a lot. I don't know if I'll move to Dubai or if we will move as a family, but I visited, one of my partners lives there. I visited in November 2019 for the first time. Before I went to Dubai, I thought Middle Eastern country, super Islamic based. My wife will not be allowed to speak. She has to stand behind me. If I kiss her on the cheek, I'll get my neck cut off. As in, I'm exaggerating, but and that's not true, man. Yeah. It's like super expat focused. Everything is modern. People are nice and friendly, and everyone is a stranger. Everyone is a foreigner.
True.
Because there's 90% expats. So only 10% are Emirati. So that means everyone had to start from scratch. And low taxes, sunny most of the time. So actually, a place like that, Dubai, Singapore, that will be my next destination.
Dubai or Abu Dhabi, both are pretty cool places. I visit them a couple of times. Dubai, I think 2 times Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I have a few friends, Danish friends that are living there. They actually moved back. I always wanted to work in Dubai when I was 20 years old. I was really close to go and work for the embassy, the Catalan embassy in Dubai, but at the end they sent me somewhere else. So I lost that train, but I always have it in my mind. Now I think I'm a bit too old. I just turned 40 last week, so I don't really want to. Which is what I have.
Oh wow! Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
So I'm not really, thinking of moving anywhere else. But if I had to move, I think Dubai would have been Dubai, Abu Dhabi. One of the cool Emirates will be the destination for sure. I think it's a special place where you just need to follow a few rules, that they are not that crazy rules that maybe people think, and then you're totally fine.
Where did they send you instead of Dubai?
Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, okay. That's also cool.
It was fun. I wouldn't say good for my business career. I think Dubai would have been way better. You never know, to be honest. But Brazil was cool, but very, very different, really dangerous place to be. And I've never been, I didn't want to go back later. And I didn't want to stay more than a year, which was my scholarship. Which in Dubai, I wanted to stay for longer. But again, you never know, if maybe I went there, didn't like it, and then I wanted to leave.
The downside with Dubai is you can never make it a home. You're not allowed to, if you lose your job, you have to leave within 90 days or find a new job. If you own a business, you can have your own business visa, but you need to renew every 2-3 years. They can throw you out any time. So Dubai is more like an adventure place, as you say. You go there for 2, 3, 4 years. You rent whilst you're there. We also just bought this house. We will probably rent out this house. This will probably be our base, and then you come back home. You don't move there. You sort of transit maybe for 6 months to 5 years, but you transit.
But it's good. You make money, you make experience. You meet new people, you meet new ways of working, which I think it's really good to understand how other people think, because we tend to think that the way that we do things in the place that we are, that's the way that everybody does. I learned from Denmark that the way that people in Spain, people in Denmark or Scandinavia do things is completely different. Or not completely, but kind of sometimes this direction, sometimes this, but it's far from being the same. And I'm pretty sure in Dubai will be something similar.
Out of curiosity, what are the taxes in Spain? Do you know what the corporate tax is and what the employment tax is? Is it medium Europe?
It's low, medium to low, nothing like Dubai, obviously. But I think corporate taxes are around 35%.
Okay.
In the low side, I think, compared to Scandinavia. The problem in Spain is that you never know how much you are going to pay because, there is a lot of administrative problems here, and then you need somebody that is having to do this, and then suddenly this tax is not applied, needs to be applied this other tax.
Wow.
So the systems here doesn't work like in Denmark. You know that you pay a lot, you know that everything is here, and you need to reach to this point, and that's fine. Spain is like, okay, I don't know if it's going to be here. Maybe if I do something weird, it can be up to here or up to here. The same with employment. I think the employment tax is not too high. I think it goes from 8% to max, I think, is 45. But most of the people are around 25%, where in Denmark, I think the minimum is 45 or something like this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
you pay at least 39%, and that's assuming that's with a lot of assumptions. What they say in Denmark is assume half of your check is taxes.
Yeah,
assume
exactly.
that, and maybe you're 43%. But yeah.
True. Here, I think it's 50%. It's tax. So what you are getting, if you make 1,000 euros, you will make 750, something like that. And that difference, it's higher the more that you make. So for 3,000 euros, maybe you are gonna end up making 2,000 euros, something like this. But so you get the sun here, but maybe not the tax-free.
Not the tax-free.
Yeah.
So I'm from West Africa, a small country called the Gambia, and we have no system. So what this means is I've run a business there. No system. So this means that every year you negotiate your taxes, and I'm not even kidding. So you go to the tax authorities. I'm not kidding, and you say to them, whatever. My business, this was a very bad year. I only made, whatever, $1,000, $10,000. They go, no. You're a big man. You made $100,000. You go, no.
Look at your watch. Look at your watch. You made more.
Yeah, look at your watch. Yeah. So you take a taxi there. You look bad clothes, and then I'm not even kidding. At the end, the guy goes, okay. You made $15,000, and you go, okay, 15,000. So you negotiate. I swear to God, in Gambia, you negotiate your tax rate because, by the way, someone would watch this and say, oh, so then people are evading taxes, but then they miss the bigger picture. We don't have a banking system. So in Denmark, I have a record of all my transactions, money in, money out, whether it's a chewing gum or whatever. In Gambia, you don't. It's just cash. So you get paid in cash, you pay someone else in cash. So there's no transaction tracking. The best you have is a check. So actually you don't know. And actually the tax authority does not know. No one actually knows. You really don't know. And so because of that, there is this culture of negotiating. In that way, it's not tax evasion. You just don't know.
You don't know, exactly. Yeah.
You don't know. You want to buy a car, you come with a sack full of cash. You know what I mean? You don't wire it.
Yeah.
Physical cash, or you write a check. So yeah, that's another podcast. But
yeah, that's a completely new podcast. Cool.
New podcast.
But yeah, I think I covered kind of everything that I wanted to know, and I wanted to know a bit more, especially of the IPO. I wasn't really exactly sure what you guys were doing. Also good to catch up again.
Absolutely.
And yeah, glad that everything goes well. I will visit Denmark, Copenhagen next year, 100% sure. We actually have the company that is running our Facebook ads, newsletters, and everything. It's based in Denmark.
Oh, nice.
he's a former colleague of mine, and they are actually doing a pretty good job. So I have to go there. We have a distributor as well in Copenhagen that is selling GoPrimal. So next year I'm expecting to go, hopefully around spring, early summer maybe.
Fantastic.
So that will be
perfect, man.
That will be great if we can meet at some point.
100%.
We can do another workout.
I know. You'll take me to the gym and say, "Show me what you got, Yus." You know, 5 months ago you said you were working out. Let's see, and I'll be there whimpering.
Well, you were quite strong, if I remember, from training at Butcher's.
Yeah.
You just didn't practice that strength too much, but you were quite strong.
That's true.
Cool. But
very cool.
Yus, thanks a lot for your time. I think it's been great, to be honest. I really like the conversation. We will post it in a few different YouTube, LinkedIn, and different things. I'll let you know. And again, anything that you need, you have your Spanish friend on the other side.
I love that, man. I love that.
Yeah.
I think we should have a separate chat and just reconnect and just
sure.
connect dots.
Yeah, talk about the things that we can talk on public and these things.
Exactly.
That would be great.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. Fantastic.
Cool.
Right,
Yes. But
thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for everything. Talk to you soon.
You too, man. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.